Wow.
What was it?
We had no audio this whole time.
Oh, wow. Check 1, 2.
All
Are we
right.
still no audio or are we good now?
We're good now.
Good. We had a great conversation.
We
We're
did.
glad you enjoyed watching it.
It was a fantastic conversation.
So, welcome back. What are we covering today?
We're going to recap everything because it's so absolutely important and vital that happened right there.
Yeah.
Because it shows exactly what we've covered, what we're covering right here, which is how do we deal with challenges?
Wow.
How do we react to challenges? And how can we right then and there change the perspective?
Yeah.
Because right now my mind is going, okay, the first 7 minutes, the most fire part that gets people in was not heard. However, we take a look at that and say, this is a perfect place for us to really finish out the show, finish out the episode with so much strength, knowing that we can show it in real time how we react to challenges.
Something that was such a huge moment for me, Leo, was learning to do that in the midst of the challenge. Because I got in retrospect, 3 weeks from now, 2 months from now, we're going to be talking and be like, remember that show when the first 10 minutes everybody was on, they couldn't hear us? Like, we're going to be remembering these moments. And it's easy in retrospect to be like, oh yeah, that happened for a reason. But in the moment when the attorney calls and you just found out you had litigation, in the moment that the challenge happens, in the moment you guys just got bad news, in the moment the contract just fell through, being able in that moment to say, not only do I believe and say I believe everything happens for a reason, I'm going to practice in this moment unshakable faith and confidence. So that's what we're talking about today.
So what I was reading earlier was Andrew sent me a text this morning that aligns very well with what I'm about to read you. But then I saw this on Instagram earlier, and it says, every time I start to worry, I remember that worrying is practicing atheism. And it hit me like a pound of bricks right then and there, because I used to be such a worrier. If this happened to me 2 years ago, I would be tripping out. I would be pissed off. I would be doing everything because we just wasted those 7 minutes.
I just immediately thought, I'll tell you what I thought when it happened. As soon as I seen that and you said, whatever you said, oh no, or oh crap, I looked at the number of people on and I said, wow, we have incredible people who literally sat there going, I know these guys are going to fix this audio problem. We're going to just sit here and watch them until they figure it out. Like that made me full of joy in the moment. So thank you guys.
And thank you for letting us know, because we got so many comments right there saying no audio, silent movie. But I just want to jump into it. What we're going to do is we're going to go over 5 scenarios that you and I have been through, business failures, relationship failures, all these different types of things, and how average people, how we looked at it before versus how we can look at it now. And it's going to give us all a great masterclass on mindset shifts that give us the ability to view things in a great perspective, in a perspective that really just allows us to move with strong faith, move with strong confidence. And my goal for each and every single one of you guys is you walk away with a strategy for confidence, and you walk away with this feeling of unshakable faith that you can do it, you can figure it out. And here's 5 stories, here's 5 perspectives, here's 5 challenges, 5 scenarios of how you can do the same thing.
That's a game changer, I think, when we can shift that perspective. And the text I sent Leo this morning, he was referencing before you heard us earlier, was talking about when David was going to become a king. God didn't send him a crown, he sent him Goliath. And so in those moments that things go wrong in your business, when the bad news delivered, when things happen, it's looking at it and saying, this is one of those Goliath moments, because sometimes big things go wrong in business. So what's maybe the first scenario that we want to talk about today?
So the first scenario is when plans completely fall apart. You worked for months and months and months on a business deal. Maybe it was a launch. Maybe you had a funnel built out. You had a whole marketing team build out a great funnel, or you had an event and it flopped. Now what? What do we do now? Right? It just completely fell apart. We put a lot of money into it. What do we do? The perspective that most people have, and that me and Andrew both had before, was panic.
Yeah.
Oh shit! What do we do? What are we gonna do? Yeah. Right? We were muted for the first 7 minutes. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna win this back? We blame people. We blame circumstances. Oh, it was the software that was muted. Right? No, it was me. I didn't forget to unmute us. People question if they're on the right path. Mm-hmm. Are we even meant to do this show? We're not perfect. Are we even meant to do this? Yeah. That's what most people think. That's what we used to think. However, we have shifted over the years into thinking a different perspective, which you guys saw in real time. It was like, hey, why would we worry? Everything happens for a reason.
So I want to give an example. It was a few years back, and I remember I decided I was going to scale. A grossly overused word in today's marketing. And I said, I'm going to scale up my business. We're doing like 4 or 5 deals a month. I'm going to double that. I'm going to go to 10 deals a month. And so we started putting money in ads. We hired out. We done a few things right and a lot of things wrong years ago. And I remember one day wondering why it took me 7 to 11 conversations to buy a property. And now I put $37,000 into marketing, and it seemed we hadn't gotten any deals. So over 4 months, $37,000. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a sizable chunk of money.
Yep.
And so I'm looking and I'm going, like, there's supposed to be a return here. And then one day I finally realized that no one had called these leads. $37,000 of leads that are coming in. And I thought the team had them. We discussed this, I thought, but they didn't realize that. And years ago, different scenario, and I had now looked at this stack of leads, $37,000 in trash and in heaps, right? Going, what the heck just happened? Like, hot leads go away fast. I'm angry. I'm angry at the team. How could they screw this up? I'm angry at the CRM. How could it not notify me? I'm angry at everything and everyone else until finally that evening I look in the mirror and there's only one person to blame.
Yeah.
That was the person in the mirror. And I share that because as things go wrong in business, and they will, as things fall apart, and they will, as an ad campaign goes up, I remember a marketing piece we was running a few years back, and the link was leading to a dead page. There was nothing there. And I'm going, my gosh, people are clicking in and they're going to a error 404 page. If you've ever been on one of those, you know what I'm talking about. And so suddenly I get angry. But I realize as leaders, we must take responsibility, and we must learn from that and say, okay, how do I better direct? How do I find the right team and give them right instructions?
100%. So what that makes me think about is radical responsibility being one of the direct reasons why the most successful people are so successful. Mm-hmm. Is because they take so much responsibility for themselves and they don't blame other circumstances. Because even if you thought it was, let's just call him Steve. Yeah. Even if you thought it was Steve's problem because he didn't make the calls, it was still your fault. You hired Steve.
Yeah.
Or you didn't tell Steve to make the calls enough times, right? Because it takes sometimes 9 times to let them know before they actually
check in for 12 weeks.
Exactly. So it always comes back to you. If you're having relationship issues, you chose that relationship. Yeah. You chose to jump in. You chose all the directions of your life. And of course, prior to being 10 years old, you didn't make a lot of those choices.
Of course.
However, past the point of being able to take responsibility, everything becomes your fault. Everything becomes your responsibility, rather. So type it in the chat, radical responsibility.
That's a game changer.
Now, on the other side of this scenario, what the greats do, what people of wealth, people of success, people who have true freedom now do, is they see big mistakes, they see big challenges as a setup for something bigger. They see that, hey, I just lost $37,000 and I have to fire this individual, but what that's going to teach me is to never again let a big chunk of money go out, or any money go out, without me checking who has responsibility over this project.
It's part of becoming a good steward. Imagine if I had to learn that lesson at the $3,700 level, how much it would have saved me. Or imagine I didn't learn that lesson until the $370,000 level, how much more that would have lost me. So there's always a perspective to be able to say, I want to learn rapidly, and thank God it was only what it was.
So when you take radical responsibility, Andrew, now you can look every day and say, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. Because if you know everything is up to you, right? No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save me. You have to do your own self-development. That's why they call it self-development.
Right.
Because you have to look at yourself and say, what mistake did I make? Right? How did I do well today? How did I not do well? And then improve on that the next day.
Right.
And those are the type of people who win effortlessly because they're always catching themselves. So that was number one, guys. When plans completely fall apart, when things don't go your way, how do we think about it, right? We stay calm in the moment and we say, what am I going to learn from it? What bigger comes from this, right? When we were muted for the first 7 minutes, first thing that goes through my mind is, that's my fault, right? I didn't have the comments in front where I could see everyone's comments right away. And then I also didn't check if our audio was fixed. How can I get better from that? And I'm going to get better from it. But if we have that mentality every single time, then we grow at such a fast level.
Guys, I think that the biggest thing is from this first example that we're giving today of how to build unshakable faith and confidence is to realize that when things go sideways, it's nothing more than a learning moment. And when things don't go as planned, it's an opportunity for us to become better. That's the game changer for me. Let's move, though, to the second scenario that we want to talk about today.
So scenario number 2 is when you feel unqualified for the next level.
Do you have an example that rolls through your mind of maybe in the last 2-3 years as we've worked together and built together of a time where an opportunity or a thing presented itself and you felt super unqualified or imposter syndrome and how you overcame that?
I do. So when I was 18, me and Andrew first partnered and did our first deal together, and it wasn't 8 months after that when I was brought into a leadership position on the real estate team. Mm-hmm. And having done only, I think at that time, 3 deals, I felt massive imposter syndrome of how can I lead a team of 8. And I, again, being 19 at that time, the average age on the crew besides you was about 45.
Yeah.
So 19 leading a team of 45-year-olds. And I had to, or really, I felt so underqualified. Not only did I feel underqualified, I felt like there's no way I can step into this role. I felt massive imposter syndrome in the deals that I've done, in my age, in my abilities, in my confidence, in the money I had, and every single thing. I had so much imposter syndrome, and it curled me up in such a, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? So a confident 19-year-old on one end who had done, over 1 billion views and who had made so much money on one end, all of a sudden was in this leadership position so small. So what I had to do was I had to just say, you know what, if I don't step in with confidence now, it's never going to come. Right? If I show up insecure, if I add my insecurity everywhere, it's only going to make people worse, and it's going to make my situation so much worse as well. So what I did then was every time, because I hesitated a lot before I told someone to do something, before we did payroll, before we did anything, I hesitated so much. So what I did was every single time I hesitated, I had a bit of a mantra in my mind, right? I said, you're built for this. That was my mantra. Right?
That's good.
As tacky as it might be, it was you're built for this. So I'll tell myself every time I would hesitate, you're built for this. You got this. You're going to figure it out. And what that did was, because the negativity was so loud in my mind, I had to triple the amount of positivity and love that I gave to myself in that time. And what happened then, it was 3-1, right? The positivity won, and that became my mentality. So then I tripled my confidence, and I tripled my self-security, and I tripled my ability to lead in that year of leading our team.
Yeah. Something I want to add, though, from my perspective on that, is as you stepped into that role, you did it. all of us have a level of ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet you were able to do it from my perspective. And I know us being brothers, we talk behind the scenes and the good and the bad, the ego and the humility, but genuinely from a place of humility.
Yep.
And that is such an important thing, because even if ego would cause you to have a thought of like, right, something off, you would yet accept that coaching or that ability or that feedback from team members that might upset someone else's ego. Yet you were able to receive that feedback or the things that you were hearing and seeing with confidence, yet with humility. And that was a game changer of when I seen incredible respect from everyone around you. Because I knew you as my brother and the heart that you had. So I had incredible respect for you in that way already. But I watched an entire team, community, people everywhere, level of respect increase greatly for you because of the humility you led with.
Thank you. Thank you. I look at two perspectives here,
Yeah.
and this is brand new in my mind, right? But on one side, it's Alexander the Great. He was in his 20s and he led a huge empire and won so many battles. He's one of the greatest, as per his name, Alexander the Great, leaders to have ever lived. And he was so young and he was able to do that. So on one side of my mind, I'm thinking of Alexander the Great. Hey, if he did it, I could figure it out. I could lead a team of 8.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I think of Genesis 3:19, where it says, as dust we are, as dust we shall return.
Yeah.
This was a new one for me where I learned it in a way where we're a speck of dust on this earth.
Yeah.
Right? God put us here, of course, for a reason. We have our reasons to be here. We have our ability to grow and to serve Him. However, we're still just a speck of dust here. Yeah. And whatever we create, the masses of wealth, the incredible things we do, we don't leave with any of it. Right? All the material things that you have, you don't leave with any of it. So with that spectrum of understanding confidence and understanding ego, you're able to create a very confident humility mentality. And that's how I view the confidence that I have.
Yeah.
Is that on one side, I know that I'm here to serve. I'm a speck of dust here to serve. And on the other side, I know that you can be great. And as a great leader, you have to lead with confidence.
It's good perspective. I think that's the balance, right? Because I come from the other side where I was so insecure, and I believe that was humility. So I think that's powerful, guys. I'm trusting this is making a lot of sense, where you can be humble yet confident, where you can serve well yet lead well.
Type it in the chat, humble yet confident. That's what I desire for each of us, is to create such humility, but have such confidence that backs it up.
Yeah. Now, here's another note. This is going to be a big one. And if you're taking notes, you're going to want to write down a couple of notes. But write down, don't let worry hold you back. Don't let worry hold you back. I want to point out, there's times where we've all been stressed about money, stressed about the future. Maybe takes me back to my early days of entrepreneurship. And I remember sitting there going, gosh, I need to buy leads, but how can I afford leads? What if I put out this money and it doesn't come back? What if I don't close any deals? And we have all of this scarcity, all of this lack, all of this really stress playing in our mind. I remember going to bed at night stressed, doing calls, driving around, finding vacant houses, knocking on doors, putting sticky notes on vacant houses, doing all the things that some worked and some didn't, and working at all these things. And I'd done it from a point of stress, a point of anxiety. And then when the account was low or worse, overchecked, I was like, God have mercy, what am I going to do now? And I just remember living in that cycle. And I would see people talk about reading. And one thing I did right, I thankfully went to events and surrounded myself by good people, but ultimately I still felt like I was working alone. I'd hear people talk about reading and I'm like, I'll read when I get rich. Like I gotta go make money. And I didn't realize that there was ways to operate at a much higher level. So what do you do when you're stressed about money, life, or the future?
So whenever money was tight or there was unexpected expenses, different things came up, and all of a sudden the tolls that I forgot to pay came up. Oh, $3,000. Oh crap. Okay. And your brain goes into scarcity mode.
Yeah.
Your brain goes into this analogy where you're holding the sand so tight because you just lost some, and now you're holding it even tighter. But what happens when you hold sand so tight in your hands?
Yeah.
It seeps right through your fingers. Scarcity mode is when we live in the land of not enough.
Oh wow.
There's never enough. I don't have enough. I'm not worthy of enough. And really, we just look at our bank account and say, dude, it's logical. There's not enough there.
Yeah.
And we don't think about what can come in and the opportunities that are there and the abundance of money. Instead, we look to protect the little that we currently have.
Yeah.
And that scarcity mode is what kills most people. They start to worry, they start to hold back, they start to play it safe, they start to do all these scarcity mode things. All of a sudden, your character transforms.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the closest people around me who had money before, and I knew them when they had money, right? But as soon as they lost money, they were a whole different person.
Yeah.
I saw an absolute scarce mode of that person where they were angry, they were deceptive, they had a lot more ego, different human, really, different mentality. And I started to think about that and study it, right? Because you and I, we've seen each other when we were absolutely broke, and we've seen each other when we've had a lot of money.
Yeah.
We've seen all across the different waves, right? Because entrepreneurship is up and down.
Of course.
But we've stayed very similar in each time.
Yeah.
And that's guys, in another episode, we'll talk about partnerships. That's so important to be able to see the person in their highs and in their lows. But when I am stressed about money and when I'm stressed about my future and any of these things, I sit back and I reflect back on my faith. I always test my faith. If I know that truly that God is here to guide us and that everything's going to be okay and that there is an endless amount of opportunities, then why would I worry about this right now? Why would I stress? Why would I be in angst right now? Right? Things might be happening where, okay, I have another $500 going out. I have another $2,000 going out. But whether you stress about it or not, it's still going to happen.
Right.
You could take as much action as you can, but no matter if you're stressed or not, it's still going to have to get done. So what I started to realize is when I took the stress out of it, I was able to think a lot more clear of what are the opportunities ahead of me.
Right.
Because my mind now became in opportunity mode, in abundance. Because when you think of opportunities, you think in abundance. You think that there's always enough. But I remember doing this every time I was broke, and I want you guys to do it if you're in an interesting position financially, is place your abundance on something other than money for a moment. Because it's very hard sometimes to place abundance on money if you're overdrafted. But if you can place your abundance by taking a deep breath and being able to have so much air and realize that air, it's infinite.
Just print out a bank statement, white out the negative,
Exactly.
the minus in front of the number.
But think about how rich you are. But why do we attach rich to money, right?
Yeah.
You're rich in life if you're able to breathe. You're rich in life if you still have the ability to walk. There's people who don't have legs. There's people who don't have teeth. There's people who don't have the ability to breathe or see and hear. But here we are being able to do all those things. You have so much more opportunity ahead of you. And when you can lie your abundance there, when you can lay your abundance on those things, all of a sudden you realize how rich we really are. And then you can go back and get to work in this new abundant mentality.
You take me back to a thing my dad would always say growing up. Somebody would say, "How you doing, Robert?" He'd say, "I'm rich. I got 6 kids. They're all healthy, and I wouldn't take $1 million for any of them."
That's right.
And I think that is such an interesting perspective because growing up without a lot of money, literally was I didn't realize it was hypnosis at the time or subconscious programming. I don't even think Dad did, but that's what he was doing constantly. Was being, if you read the book, The Power of Positive Thinking, that's what he was embodying, although he's never read the book. And so understanding that when that stress comes, rather than allowing ourselves, because what I see so many people do is they have in the past been broke or gone in scarcity mode. So when things get low, they automatically revert to that, quote, safe place that kept them broke, but caused them to live, right? And so what the rich people do, what people of wealth do, is the direct opposite. They run in when everybody else is running out.
Stock market's going crazy right now.
Stock market's going crazy.
Guess
right
what we're
now.
doing?
It's called opportunity.
Absolutely, we're buying.
So it's important to note that when you sense yourself starting to feel stress, instead of allowing that to settle on you, you purposely operate in abundance. You say, no, I'm not going to do the thing that I used to do that kept me alive and broke. I'm going to do the new thing. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to step into abundance. I'm going to believe and know that there is more than enough. I just have to step into that flow.
100%. Now, I want to go into these last two, but I really want to say something on my mind when it comes to this is when I learned to practice abundance every day. Abundance is a skill. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because it's a mentality. It's a way of thinking. So if you can practice abundance in your daily life, you can start to build the skill of abundance. Because abundance is truly knowing that there's more. So then your actions are that of someone who knows there's more.
Yeah.
An abundant person keeps making more calls. The abundant person keeps reaching out. The abundant person asks for help. The abundant person invites people over. The abundant person shares. The abundant person gives and serves.
Yeah.
And servitude is the highest level, I believe. So how can you practice abundance? Today, when you go out to eat or when you're getting gas or when you're doing something that you have to spend, where typically your mind would say, oh, $7.99 or $72 for gas. I mean, California, right? We spend $100 on gas every week. $100 on gas. Any of those negative thoughts that come up, you completely shut it out. You don't look at the price. You just pay for it. I did this for 2 years straight. It took me a long time, but if I knew this mentality, it would have worked a lot faster. You pay for it and you trust the source.
Yeah.
You say, God is my supply, we're good. I said that every single day. God is my supply, we're good. I said a lot more words after that too, though, of a prayer because I really was scared to spend money. But what that does is it starts to build your abundant muscle. It starts to make your mind understand that there's more. We're good. You're not looking at the price. Because if we know that your thoughts create your reality, right? Your words are incredibly important. They create your reality. Then why would we allow us to spend something and look at a $24.99 steak, or not steak, chicken, and be like, oh, I don't know if I should get it. I got chicken at home.
Yeah.
Why would we allow ourselves to say such scarce thoughts in our mind every day when we spend? Rather, allow yourself to you're going to buy it anyways. Don't look at the price and just say, yep, this is what I want. Tip them, tip 20%, and say, God is my source, God is my supply. We are good. That is the one thing, guys, that has helped me go from all my financial trauma from my parents over the past 20 years, I guess 19 years, to then probably 2 years ago, I haven't stressed about money since.
Yeah.
Right? That right there is what changed my life. So I just want that to be a snippet for us to go back to before we go to number 4.
What is number 4?
Number 4 is this scenario of when relationships get hard and you feel like quitting. This is business partnerships. These are close friends, or these are relationships that might feel like a drain. These are misunderstandings, conflicts, or love relationships, and this is where uncertainty tends to creep in. Most people, when they are confronted with a hard relationship or a hard conversation, is they shut down, they get resentful, and they run from the discomfort. Now, Andrew, I've seen in many instances, you have such strong relationships in your life. And you've crafted such strong relationships in your life.
Yeah.
Did you have a moment before where you would do that? You would allow yourself to shut down. You would allow yourself to push away and kind of push people out of your life.
Yeah.
And having that negative mentality. Did you have that before?
Big time. Because I think for all of you, you've known those people who at some time in your life have been negative people. They are the people who are always getting their dig in, always predicting that you're going to be bankrupt or broke. People who are always doing or saying or thinking something negative. And when you've been around those people and then you desire to help them, as I did, as you guys do, you desire to do good and help people, and you have high hopes. I'm dreaming big. I'm going to be the 21-year-old that changes the world. And then life kind of hit me upside the head.
Yep.
And stuff happens, and stuff goes wrong, and deals go sideways, and people sue you, and whatever happens, happens. And so before long, it's easy to start taking on that mentality of everybody's out to get you.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's true that the world can be a dark place or a little scary sometimes, I realized that I shut down. I became very alone, very lonely. Even in rooms, I was very lonely. And there was rooms where I wasn't maybe welcome or looked up to. I wasn't celebrated. I was tolerated. And I continued to put myself in those rooms. So it validated that I wasn't enough. Because every time I was in one of those places, I felt like crap. And so I felt unworthy. So it validated the fact that I'm alone in this and that everybody's out to get you. And so I lived in that validation circle of being alone, beat my head against a wall, being around people who only tolerated me, and the cycle continues. So I believed if I could just give enough money away and help enough people, maybe people would eventually one day like me. And I didn't realize that there's two pieces to that. Number one, it is attracting your tribe, which, Leo, you taught me. And I learned that we deal with challenges quickly. We were given our what we call gut feeling, our intuition for a reason. Listen to it. And, of course, check why you're feeling that way, but listen to it. But then I learned to go to places to where people wanted to grow.
Yep.
If you're hanging out with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th. If you're hanging out with 5 complainers, you're almost inevitably going to be the 6th. If you're hanging out with 5 negative people who are always running other people down and complaining about politics and news and weather and the football game, then probably you're going to be the 6th. But if you're hanging out with 5 positive people, my gosh, what a beautiful day it is. Man, thank God I'm breathing. I'm healthy. Thank God that things are going as good as they are. Business is going good. So when you're hanging around 5 positive people who view life in that way, you're going to be the 6th. And for me, realizing it's about being that person so you can attract great people, and then purposely putting myself in rooms where other people also want to grow. Because you're the most positive person around, and you're going into rooms where everybody has a downward mentality, you're probably not single-handedly going to be able to change that whole environment. So go somewhere where others also want to lift you up as you lift them up.
1,000%. And once you get around those people, once you find the right people around you, the right people in your life will bring challenge.
Yeah.
But good challenge.
Good challenge.
Challenge that helps you grow.
Yeah.
Right? It's like good friction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like the proverb, when as iron sharpens iron, so does one man to another. You sharpen each other. You
Right.
make each other better by refining them. And what that's going to look like is conversations are going to get hard and relationships are going to get hard. And when they do, how do you respond? How do you communicate it? I used to be someone in my past where when relationships that get hard, I would go away from it. I said, I don't want to go through this. And until I realized over the past 3 years that some of the most important relationships that come into your life, the ones that stay for a lifetime,
Yeah.
right? The soulmates in your life, those are the ones that you're willing to go through the hard conversations with. But I'll say that one more time, you're willing to. Because it's easy to shut down, it's easy to get resentful, it's easy to run from it, but it's actually very hard sometimes to have the tough conversation and to see clarity from the other person.
Right.
You and I as business partners, we've been business partners for 4 years.
That's crazy. Time's flying.
We've probably had 600 plus, not arguments, but moments where we had to understand each other.
Yeah.
And I've had people in the past where in the first one, it was we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We couldn't get past that first little bump. But how you and I get past it is we seek clarity.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What's going through your mind? And you ask the same thing. And we get to a point where we fully discuss what is on our mind. Guys, for you leaders, for you entrepreneurs out here, take this down, type it in the chat. What's on your mind? I believe that if people just ask that question and genuinely say what's on their mind and have the direct communication for where they want to go, 99% of problems are fixed.
So true. 99% of problems are misunderstandings. I believe that.
So when you ask those questions and you lead, right? Good thing for us, we're both leaders. So we'll both lead the conversation in a good way. And of course, we'll get to a common ground. But as leaders, you have to lead the conversation in a good way.
Right.
Hey, this is what's going through my mind. Here's how I feel. Here's what's going on. I just wanted to bring that up to you. And if the person has the ability to take constructive criticism, if that person has the ability to seek clarity and communicate, and if that person really wants to be in your life, they will respect you seeking clarity.
Absolutely.
They will respect those type of questions. And if they don't, that's just a red flag for you to say, hey, this person's not meant to be in my life, because if they can't have the tough conversations, how are we gonna do this for a lifetime?
That's great perspective. And when you're, as I have been in the past, and as I'm sure you've been, where you either have, I shouldn't say this. All right.
You should say it. You should say it.
Where you either have sucky friends or no friends, bad friends or no friends, then we often settle.
Yep.
Now, I say that for you guys because as you are in that transitional period in your life, some of you guys are going through what I call a purge of friendships. There's friends in your life who maybe for whatever reason were a part of your life because you lived in the same neighborhood or because you happen to have the same last name. And you look at that and go, wait a second, I always let myself get beat up on, or I always went through crap. I always let stuff go because of X reason. But as we can step into a next level of our life and actually see our own value in the mirror, we can have those tough conversations because we're no longer operating out of constant fear of loss. Mm-hmm. We're operating out of love and gratitude. Fear and love can't exist together. They're the direct opposites. So if you're operating out of love and gratitude, not fear and anger or fear and worry, then there's no loss that happens. There's only leveling up.
Absolutely. There's a piece that I want to cover, and I want you guys who relate to take action on it. But some of us are in a position where the people closest to us are not the best, and they don't actually care about us, or they don't want us to win, or maybe they're family that care about us, but they don't want us to win.
Yeah.
We have to realize that sometimes going through a lonely period is much better than trying to figure it out with the crew.
Amen to that.
Because as you're trying to figure it out with the crew, it's only going to drain you for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
50, 60, 70.
Versus being in solitude for a period of time for you to build your own mindset. Not a mindset that has been influenced by other people, but simply your own mindset. Because once you build your own mindset, you build a solid grounded foundation for yourself. Once you build a solid foundation, now you can go back into any crew and hold your ground. And it simply looks like this. If you've grown so much, let's just say in a year, and you go back to a crew that knows you and they start making fun of you or asking why you're growing or asking, who are you trying to be? You simply say, hey, I don't want to hear any of that. That's not my vibe. And you have to have that type of confidence. And it's until you can do that, you're always going to get bogged right back down.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you can't do it, you got to stay away from those people. So I urge you guys to build your own mindset. Continue coming to the show. That's our job, is to build your mindset, right? Truca is a community of people who have this type of mentality and those who are coming to build a mentality. But if you can't say, hey, I don't like the way you said that, I don't really want to hear it, but we can talk about another conversation if you'd like.
Yeah.
And you can lead the conversation up. You lead the conversation. If you can't do that, then you got to move away from your spaces and get around other spaces where people genuinely care about you, want to hear about you, and want to see you win.
I want to add one last piece to that before we go to number 5 and wrap up. That is something that is very important, I think, misconstrued or misinterpreted in this day. And I think it's such a powerful thing, as Leo, as you said, when we built up our confidence so much that we're okay with a period of maybe seclusion. That's so awesome that we can build that foundation in such a way, because that was the scariest thing to me until I experienced it. Not total seclusion. Always have a couple great people who care about me, but I didn't realize that I could go into a season of attracting soulmates where people would actually develop lifetime relationships at a next level. So it's an exciting place to be. So know everything that you desire is on the other side of what we often fear. But I think it's such a powerful thing and often misinterpreted in today's society where people can easily be offended sometimes. And that is that someone celebrating you doesn't mean that we're not direct or sometimes even hard on each other. But it comes from a place to see grow. It comes back to intention. It comes from a place to see you grow rather than one to bring you down. So you know those people who are like, why'd you do that? What do? You think you're better than I? You know those people constantly trying to pull you down versus those people who's like, man, why'd you do that? Like, level up, man. Come on. It's coming from a place of pushing you up rather than pushing you down. So know the difference, because I love being around people. You constantly push me to beyond my comfort zone, but it comes from a heart of love, appreciation, and respect. And that is a huge difference.
So guys, let's move on to number 5, scenario number 5, which is when you're facing a big decision and you don't know what to do. Maybe, for example, you have 2 major paths in front of you, career paths, business models, and you're trying to decide which one to go to, right? Do I go this way? Do I go that way? Do I stay or do I go? Do I invest or do I hold back? Do I sell or do I buy? Do I take the risk or do I play safe?
Yeah.
What do we do?
We're going to answer all your financial questions today.
Right. Most people will overthink. Most people will stall and they get paralyzed with fear. It used to happen to me all the time. I had a decision. Do I do this deal? Do I not do this deal? Do I sell? Do I buy? What do I do? And I would stay paralyzed for weeks of not doing anything. And then I would go do other things that I knew how to do, which is hang out with friends and go do other fun things. Comfortable things, instead of actually being aggressive with what I had to execute on, being aggressive with the decision. Because really, you are where you are because of every decision that you've made up until this point.
So true.
Do you agree?
Absolutely.
So we understand that it's the decisions, it's the hard decisions that move us up levels. Some of us are still making level 0 or level 1 decisions, and we're getting scared of the level 2 decision. Or maybe we're making level 3 decisions because we're on level 3, but we're scared of the level 4 decision, so we're not making them. But the moment you make a level 4 decision, guess what? You're in level 4 now. And you go from 4 to 5. And what do levels even mean? Level 4 might just mean you're making a good income. You're making $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You're in a good position, a good relationship. You're feeling good about life. Faith is strong.
Yeah.
But each of those require you to make decisions in order for you to get there. So what do then the great do? You know, the most people overthink. What do the great do then?
So I think the biggest thing is that we seek counsel. We look at what is it that we need to do? What actions can we take to get there? And does it align with my vision? So the great people that I am around, the great people that we emulate, that we are constantly looking up to, are the people who make decisions quickly. It's not always the perfect decision. It's not always even the right decision, but it's a decision which saves us from being stuck in limbo. Would you rather make 25 decisions over the year and 2 of them be wrong and 23 be right, or make 25 decisions over 25 years and probably still 2 of them be wrong? So what's going to move you along faster to your vision, to your goal? The speed at which we implement the things we know will change our entire life. So don't ever be paralyzed by fear. Just know that you will make mistakes. You can move forward if you have gathered information, you've gathered all the data you can. Of course, we want to make educated decisions, and we have to make the decision quickly. Because the longer we sit, every minute we're sitting there waiting on a decision is another minute of wasted time or lost opportunity. You've heard of opportunity costs. That's the thing that some people spend decades paying, the opportunity cost, the opportunity tax, if you will, because they're stuck in limbo going, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do next. And so by asking great questions, by being willing to be wrong sometimes, we jump in, we make the decision, and we move forward.
So you said a couple things that I want to break down really quick before we wrap up. Number 1, you said seek wise counsel. What does that mean? Seeking wise counsel is talking to someone who's been there before, or that teaches other people how to do it. So for you, you were my wise counsel when it came to real estate, when it came to deal structures, when it came to litigation, when it came to anything business-wise, you were my wise counsel, right? I wouldn't go to my mom to learn business, right? I wouldn't go to my uncle or most, my friends from back then to learn business because they haven't done it. And if you're getting, this is a big thing, if you're getting advice from people who haven't done it, take a look at who's giving you the advice.
Consider the source.
Consider the source. So seeking wise counsel is talking to someone about a situation that you're in from someone who's already been in that situation a couple times, 5, 10, 15, 30 times.
That's the most judgy I am. When somebody gives me advice, I immediately start thinking, would I want the life they have in that area?
So the part that I want you guys to get is move forward with faith. Move forward understanding that whatever happens is going to be for your growth. Even if you fail, trust that it's still going to lead you in the right place. Because guess what? You're going to get there, realize that you did fail, and you're going to get so much data to move faster on your next decision. And then the next decision is going to be the same way. We love failing every day.
Yeah.
Right? I love the fact that on here in the beginning of the show, our mic was muted for the first 4 minutes because it gives us the ability to grow somewhere.
Yeah.
And go back in the technology and fix it. We love when we mess up on stage.
Yeah.
We don't love it in the moment, but we sure love it 4 minutes after when we realize, hey, everything happens for a reason. And most of the time, it's going to happen in the failures. And it's going to happen in the trialing, struggling times that make us go, wow, I need to improve. I need to get to the next level. So what I urge every single one of you guys to do is right now in this moment, ask yourself, how can I improve my perspective of my current circumstances? How can I just shift the way that I'm looking at it? If I'm struggling with my finances, can I shift the perspective and look at how abundant I am to have life and to breathe? Because there's people right now that are on life support who need a machine to help them breathe.
Yeah.
You get to walk around breathing this air for free.
Thank you, God.
And what they're doing is they're sitting down and they're wishing to be in your position right now. They don't care about their finances. They don't care about any of that right now. They're just wishing that they can breathe without a damn machine.
Wow. That's perspective.
And in these instances, of course, we pray for those people. We always do. There's millions of them right now on that. But do yourself a favor and shift the perspective for a moment, because you need to be in an abundant mentality in order to create abundance in your life. It's a very simple formula.
Yeah.
But if we live in scarcity, you're only going to attract more scarcity, because you attract what you think. And if you're thinking, I don't have enough, there's not enough money, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, guess what's going to happen to you?
There won't be enough.
There won't be enough. But then if we think on the abundance side, wow, there's an abundance of people out there. There's an abundance of friends. There's an abundance of awesome people. Leo and Andrew attract a lot of great people at our events. There's an abundance of them.
Yeah.
There's an abundance of money. It's printed every day. I just have to add more value to the marketplace.
Yeah.
I just have to serve more. And when I serve more, guess what? I also get to learn how to be a better person. So everything starts to align when it comes to personal development and when it comes to becoming the best version of yourself.
I want to point this out as we wrap up. Today, I was just counting up to make sure I was right. Today is day 50.
Is it?
Day 50 of the Daily Truca Show.
Cheers.
So cheers to us. Cheers to you guys. So give us a 50 in the chat. I want to see the 50s coming in. And congratulations to you guys for being here on day 50, because we are just getting started. We have so many great things that we're going to be doing together in the coming weeks. We have just began, and excited that you're here for these early stages for the first 50 days of 365 days, and who knows how much longer, maybe way beyond.
100%. Guys, thank you for being here. 50 days. If you're listening on the pod, thank you for being here. And we will be here again tomorrow, same time, same place, and a very, very important topic.
With sound.
With sound for the first 4 minutes. Absolutely.
See you guys tomorrow.
Take
Thanks
care,
for being
guys.
here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.